Okay, I want to talk today about something hugely important. If somebody came to you and said, I've got an answer as to a magic molecule that will help with the colour in your skin, the texture of your skin, every component of your skin that you're worried about. It's affordable, the evidence base is massive. The answer is retinoids. And I'm going to try and get rid of some of the confusion today and explain why they are the master of all master molecules. I'll address a few interesting points that you might not have heard about before. I'll touch on a few myths. But really, if you're interested in active skincare, you must listen closely to what I've got to say. So first of all, what are retinoids? Retinoids are a family of compounds all derived from vitamin A. They are available to us as consumers over the counter. They're non-prescription retinoids. And then also we have the full-blown prescription-only medical grade retinoids as well. You'll know them by common names such as Retinol, Retinal, Gram-active retinoid, Retinal, Retinoid, all these words. The problem is they're all slightly different variants and they've got different strengths. So with over-the-counter retinoids, they all convert slowly in a linear line from one to another until eventually you get to the active prescription molecule, and that's called retinoic acid. And why are they important to know about? Because they are the gold standard skin rejuvenation treatment bar none. They increase turnover of the skin at every level of the skin. They smoothen and shine out the surface stratum corneum layer of the epidermis. Underneath the living layer of the epidermis is thickened. Note, not thinned, thickened. Likewise, the pigment-containing cells on the base of the epidermis are smoothed out in their output. You get an evenness of pigmentation. In the dermis underneath, the cells that make collagen and elastin and hyaluronic acid increase in turnover. You get an increase in all those components. So retinoids are what I term the wow master molecule. It's a bit like taking a rather beaten up family saloon and converting it into a Ferrari, which is incredibly smooth, incredibly shiny, incredibly fast, and indeed if you use a little bit too much, quite often red in colour. So that's the way to think about retinoids. So when you're wondering if only there was a brilliant evidence-proof molecule that I could do that would transform my skin, the answer is there is. They're already available, either across the counter or the more stronger versions on prescription only. And depending on where in the chain of chemical version the over-the-counter retinoid is, the more or less powerful it is. Every over-the-counter retinoid is eventually converted into retinoic acid, which works on specific receptors in the nucleus of the skin cell. It switches everything on and everything is turbo-driven. They can be slightly irritating to the skin at the start of application, and therefore you should build your usage up over time in frequency of use and in the amount that you use. And you may choose to stay purely within the spectrum of over-the-counter retinoids, just using compounds such as retinol or retinal or gram-active retinoid. Or you may migrate from over-the-counter into prescription only, where you will have the full-blown version of retinoic acid, also known as tretinoin. These compounds are generally slightly sensitive to ultraviolet light, so they tend to be packaged in a way that protects the creams from ultraviolet light, and also they tend to form a part of a skincare program where they're used at night time rather than daytime. Some are a little bit more stable to ultraviolet light than others, but generally you should think about your retinoid treatment being part of your skincare program in the evening. So after a low irritancy cleaning of the skin, patting, not rubbing dry your skin, then applying your retinoid cream as per the instructions of your particular product, avoiding certain areas that are more likely to get irritated, such as the corner of the eyes, the corner of the nose, the corner of the mouth. Putting a little bit of moisturiser on these areas before you put your retinoid on can help protect these areas from irritation. And slowly increasing the application in frequency, so maybe every alternate night for a couple of weeks before you go up to every night, you can accommodate your skin to the irritation. And the genius of cosmetic formulation allows the inclusion of what I call secret sauce molecules, which help make the retinoid not overly irritant. But by a gentle introduction of this, you can get your skin used to nightly retinoid treatment. And this is going to work in a wow way over your skin. From a smoothness and shiny point of view, within a short number of weeks. Clearing out your pores as you go, evening out your pigment. The wrinkle impact and the texture change is going to take about 9 months to kick in. But unlike a lot of topical products that we use on the skin whose evidence base is either completely lacking but is so wishy-washy you can't believe it, the evidence base for the application, particularly of the key compound retinoic acid on the skin, is literally sky high. It is the no-brainer addition to your active skincare and going forward over years. As a healthcare warning, we advise not to use vitamin A containing products during pregnancy. This is because in tablet form, and the dose in tablet form, is well reported to cause fetal abnormalities. The truth is in topical form, that's not the case, but all medical authorities around the world, to be super cautious and super safe, will always advise don't use during pregnancy. There are certain myths about the use of retinoids. The first one is so many patients say, oh, it doesn't suit my skin. Well, from what I've said, if you just smack it on, full blast, every night, straight away, you're going to get problems because you must expect this initial wave of irritation. So that's not a myth. That's just not listening to how we know the skin's going to react and educating yourself to get your skin accommodated to it. But one of the myths that drives me crazy is I'm not going to use retinoids because they thin the skin. They only thin that outer, rough, scaly top bit of your epidermis. Every other layer of your skin is thickened, not thinned by retinoids. So that's a myth that just needs to be killed off. Another myth is you shouldn't use retinoids during the summer. This is a myth. You should use them during nighttime, during the summer, because you're being bombarded with ultraviolet light that's damaging your skin, and it's very important to use them to counteract that summer kind of impact. Another myth is that you can't use them during the winter months. So you can't use them during the summer, myth. You can't use them during the winter, myth. The reason why it's a bit trickier during the winter is because of lack of hydration of skin that you get in the low humidity conditions in the winter. It means you might want to put a moisturiser on the whole of your face, not just sensitive areas, before you put your retinoid on at night during the winter, or possibly back off to using it alternate nights. Final myth I just want to talk about is people say you can't use retinoids around the eyes or on the neck. Well, this is only a relative myth. It depends how careful you are. These are the thinnest and most sensitive areas of facial skin, if you like, and at night time the retinoid can track a little bit. But if you're very careful about applying near your eye, this is an area where you'll definitely want your retinoid to go. And retinoids are indeed prescribed by ophthalmologists for treating certain eye conditions. So if there is an occasional little bit that were to track into your eye, this is not a medical disaster. As you come below the line of the angle of the jaw, your skin on your neck is much more sensitive. So it's true, if you treat your neck skin exactly like your face skin, you may get more irritation here. Well, the answer is simple. Use it less frequently on your neck, put moisturiser on your neck before or indeed after, and you can get around those problems. But I can't get over the difficulty that is sometimes encountered from patients who want something that's safe, effective, gold standard, that will really work, that's affordable, and that has had a large amount of evidence behind it. And retinoids are the thing that tick all those boxes. More so the prescription molecule rather than the over-counter molecule, but they're each helpful master molecule component in your overall skincare program, and in an active skincare program is equally important to your daily sunscreen use and your gentle cleansing routine. So super, super important molecule. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, this getting the results you want in the skin. And the compounds are here now, and they're available, and there's lots of companies doing wonderful adaptations of this. So I hope you found that interesting, and you may well have specific questions. It's very confusing, you know, is retinol the same as retinal? No, it's not. Are there different variants? How much more powerful is this than that? All these sorts of questions, frequency of application, packaging. Lots of confusion out there about retinoids. But there should be no confusion about what the master of all what I call the master molecules are for skincare. And it's retinoids. Hopefully that was interesting. Lots of questions, I'm sure. Be brave, like, send the questions in, and I will kick back. If questions come, answers hopefully will flow from me.